Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Business Communication Hub. My name is Trish. Happy to have you here today. It is a Wednesday morning, which means we are rocking and rolling on our training for our businesses and marketing and figuring out how to make marketing work for your small business. One of the things that I have been hearing a lot lately, I really wanted to address today, because it's kind of become the elephant in the room. So today's topic is about protecting your time and money when you're soliciting help. And what I have heard time and time again is business owners just like you who say, darn it, Trish, I hired someone to do blank. I hired someone to do my website. I hired someone to do my social media. I hired someone to do my emails. I hired someone to do whatever it is, and now I'm stuck. And by stuck, I mean what tends to happen is either they no longer have access to their own materials, they can't do it themselves, they can't fix anything, they're stuck, right? So my goal today is to point out 4 big mistakes that happen to many business owners in hopes that you don't make these mistakes and that you can prevent them, okay? So we're going to talk about that today, and I'm really hoping that this helps you out. Okay, so let's get started. The number 1 mistake is farming out your marketing tasks too early. And what I mean by this is that there is a tendency, and I have fallen for this too, there's a tendency that when you are starting out, you need help, right? Because the marketing thing is either overwhelming or it is something you don't really want to do, and I can identify with that. Being a marketer, I have been a marketer my entire life. My entire career has been marketing, and there are still elements of marketing that I don't like to do. So you are not alone in this boat. Right? Even some marketers don't like doing some marketing things. So the tendency is to say, I don't like to do social media. I don't like to write emails. I don't like to do website stuff. I don't like to do that. So I'm going to just hire somebody to take care of that for me. Right? Because that's ideal. That's in your mind, that's the easiest thing to do, is to farm it out to somebody else and let them do it. Now that sounds great. Right? The problem with this is that first and foremost, you absolutely must, as the CEO of your business, understand the very basics of marketing. You have to understand at least the terminology and at least the basic process. You don't need to know all of it. You don't need to know all the nuances and the little nitty-gritty of this, but you need to know the basics of these marketing strategies. And you need to know it so that you can protect yourself when you bring somebody on. So what happens is business owners will bring on someone to do their social media or to do their website, and those people or agencies or organizations that are doing it for them are talking, but the owners aren't understanding because they haven't done it. They haven't understood the basics. And this is where business owners get taken. You end up wasting a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money goes out the door because you're kind of blindly following. You're really kind of unsure if this is the right strategy because you don't even know anything about it. The second component of this is that you need revenue to support somebody doing this for you. So it's great to have some help. Having help is great, but you need to have revenue in order to do that. Think of these things as a luxury item. Okay? So would it be really nice to have somebody manage social media? Absolutely. Absolutely. Would it be nice to have somebody that could manage your website for you, that you didn't have to really worry about it? Yep. That would be great. But you have to have the revenue coming in to support that before you can do it. Right? It's like taking a trip to the Bahamas. Would that be great? Yeah, that would be great. Do you have the revenue to do it? Maybe. Right? If you do, that's great. Go for it. But if you don't, then you can't take the trip. And it's the same thing here. So mistake number one is that people they farm this out too early, and then they end up wasting a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money on it. All right, number two is not asking enough questions. And this kind of flows in from number one, right? Because when you understand these systems, you understand what it takes to do this stuff, you understand the cadence, you understand the terminology, at least the basic stuff, then you can ask questions. But a lot of people don't ask questions because they don't know. Here's a good example. So I'm going to hire somebody to take care of my website. They're going to build it out. They're going to, if I need changes, I just say, hey, make these changes. I don't really know how to do it. I'm just going to let them do it. Here are the questions that don't get asked. Will I own the domain? So the domain is your blah, blah, blah.com or .org or .net or .whatever, okay? My domain is the cbce.org. That's the domain. And you have to own the domain so that nobody else can take it and create something else with it. So whether that's through GoDaddy or Wix or wherever you're buying your domain through, it doesn't really matter. Do you own the domain, or does your website developer own the domain? And you want to own the domain. That should be you. So you should be purchasing that. You should be renewing it. If it's every year or 2 years or however you do it, you need to renew that domain. That gives you control over it, not them. Okay, this is part of protecting yourself. Question 2 is, do I have the ability to make changes in the CMS, the system whatever system you're using to build your website? Do I, as the business owner, have the ability to make changes in there, or do I need to bring everything to you to do that? If they say, oh, no, I'll do all the changes, you just let me know what you need, that is a money signal. That is I'm going to charge you every single time that you want me to make a change. So if they say something like that, then it's, oh, well, how much is that? Or what does that structure look like? Or how many changes can I have made in a month? Right? All of this costs money. Is there a retainer fee? Is there a monthly, a lot of places will charge you like a server fee in order to host the content, the meat of your website on their server. Sometimes that can get really, really expensive. So you need to think through that. But a lot of people don't ask that. And then all of a sudden there's $80, $100, $150, $200, whatever it is, a month just for the privilege of someone holding onto your data from your website. Okay? And it's really not necessary if you do this yourself. Last question that I would ask is, what happens if I discontinue my service? And this is true not just for website stuff. This is also true for like social media. Because think about it. For social media, this is a real deal. For social media, you have to be very careful because you are granting access to your business accounts to somebody else. And I have heard story after story after story after story of bad eggs getting in there and doing bad stuff to a page or locking it out or whatever, and they lose their page. I am highly, highly, highly protective of who has access to my business page. Highly protective. I always have been. Whether I worked in private, public, nonprofit. I've worked in all those sectors. And I have always been very protective of how many people have access to that. Because the more hands in that pot that you don't really know, the more dangerous it is for you. The more liability you're putting out there, the more ability you're giving to somebody else to post content on your page on your behalf that you may not know about. So you have to ask the questions. Do I get to see the posts first? Do I get to review the content? Do I, make sure you retain the ability that you are the administrator. Do not give up your administrator rights. All those things are protections for you to make sure that you aren't going to get taken here in a really bad way. I spoke with a company just not too long ago. They had to redo everything. They had to redo everything because they had somebody come in to do the social and it was a disaster. And they couldn't get access to their own accounts anymore, so they had to start over. That's terrible. That is like heartbreaking for a marketer. That's awful. So protect yourself by asking the questions. All right, number 3 is not having basic brand elements in place. At the bare minimum, before you bring on anybody else, you absolutely, positively must go through the branding exercise so you know who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going. That's often called a mission, vision, values exercise. Really important because knowing those 3 elements will drive all of your marketing, all of it. Your messaging, your visuals, your colors, your fonts, your everything. But so many of us don't do that. And it is absolutely the most critical first step. Because it protects you when you give it to somebody else to say, this is not part of my brand. This is not who we are. If you want clean lines, you're I don't know. Let me grab a company. Let's say you are a trending clothing company. You are all about a professional clothes for women. Okay? That's your service industry. You help women dress professionally. Okay, great. Do you want a website with bright pinks and teals and purples? Probably not. Because that's not who you are. That's not what you're about. But if you don't establish that, if you say something like, I really want something that's fun and bright, that's likely what it's going to come back to. So you must go through the basic branding elements to have those in place so you can be very clear on your messaging and your branding strategy. It is so, so, so important. So important. Huge mistake. And mistake number 4 is not having a marketing advisor. And a lot of companies don't do that. Okay, so when you get to the point of, I'm going to hire somebody to do blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm going to have somebody who really wants to, to do my social for me. A marketing advisor is really great to have on hand. A marketing advisor, first of all, is going to identify any pitfalls that you have with vendors. This will be somebody who says, you don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need the gold standard. You need this. You don't need that. They are going to be skilled enough to ask the questions that you don't know how to ask. What metrics are we actually looking at? Guess what? It's not likes. It's not follows. Those are not the metrics that you're looking for. So you need a marketing advisor there to literally be right by your side and be your advocate. The second thing a marketing advisor is going to do is to point out any changes that should be made to your marketing strategies. So if you hire an agency to come in and say, we're going to do this and this and this and this, your marketing advisor can look at it and say, yeah, no, they're trying to get you to spend a boatload of money on something that you do not need. You are not at that point. And while that may be a great marketing strategy, if you are a Fortune 500 company, that sounds great. You're not there. So you don't need that. We need a different strategy. And the third thing that a marketing advisor will do for you is to recognize opportunities to expand your marketing efforts. What you don't know, you don't know. So you can have an advisor say, hey, I noticed that you aren't doing this, or man, your industry would be perfect for this type of marketing. Have you ever thought about doing that type of marketing? What about this strategy? So your marketing advisor can be in addition and should be in addition to any of your contracted out organizations or people. This is literally somebody who is looking out for your best interest. I compare this to a financial advisor, right? Your financial advisor probably knows more about finance than you do. I would be willing to guess, right? And you go to a financial advisor because they are there to help you protect your assets, to help you make good financial decisions moving forward. That's what a marketing advisor does. Marketing advisor is there to protect you and to help you and make sure that you identify those areas of great concern, those pitfalls, or those missed opportunities. Like, hey, we need to take advantage of this. Okay? So those are the 4 huge mistakes that people make, small business owners make, time and time and time again, and it costs them so much time and so much money. So I hope that you kind of think through those things. Think through these 4 mistakes, and you're now aware of them so that you hopefully don't make them. If you have made them, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry that no one told you to watch out for these pitfalls. They can be worked through. They take a lot more work to work through and undo and back up, but they can be fixed. So if you're in that situation, just put advisor in the comments and, let me help you with that. I do marketing advising. That is what I do. So if you are interested in learning more about that and what exactly does that look like, you can drop advising down in the comments too, and I'd be happy to get in touch with you and talk through that. My goal here is to make sure that you save time and money on your marketing efforts and that you don't do more than you absolutely need to do at whatever stage you're at in your business. Okay? So there we go. There's the big challenge for the day. Think through these mistakes. And I hope you have a great week. If you have any questions, make sure you jump into the group here and ask those questions. Ask them in the chats. That's why we're here, is to answer any questions that you have. I hope you have an excellent day. Take care. We'll see you soon.